Mm, Welcome. My name is Swaha, and I'm doing a quick video for you on rectification, which I get asked about often. And then on the other hand, there's lots of people that don't know that it's available, and it's a thing that you can do. Um, so, what is rectification? Rectification is, in this case, is rectifying something. So, the kinds of sessions I hold are rectifying your birth date or your birth time. And it's all going to depend on you. Some people don't have a birth time, and therefore they're not going to know their birth time. And then there's the many people don't have a clear, accurate birth time. And so this is what I rectify for you. So why do you need accurate birth time, birth date, birth city, state, and location? Okay, this is what's known as your birth data. And anytime you're going to have a astrological reading or human design reading, for example, these things are crucial. This information is crucial. And your birth time being accurate is really significant because it can make sure that by having the accurate information that you get a good reading, and that these tools of astrology and human design are going to be able to help you throughout your life. And one reading can be significant, and plus these readings are tend to be costly for most people, and so you want to have accurate information to give your astrologer. Okay, now I myself do astrological readings and human design mechanics readings, uh, but so do other people, but not everybody does rectification. So whether you're seeing me for all of it, rectification, astrology, human design, on it goes, great. If you're seeing someone else for the astrology reading and human design, but still need a rectification, that's fine too. Okay, I do it. And again, not very many people do it. And I'm pretty much a very big stickler when it comes to, analyzing and getting down to the right birth date, and in some cases, and then birth time for most cases. So, why would someone need a birth date rectified? Some of you may think that's crazy and never even heard of a thing. Okay, well, in some cases, in some countries, they don't collect birth data, and in other cases, the um, child may have been abandoned, and therefore an agency of some sort found them and then had to make their best guess of the age of the child, particularly if it was a baby or a toddler or something, especially before they could talk. Um, the agency is going to do the best they can to figure out the birth time and birth date, or I shouldn't say the birth time, but the birth date for the child. So that's why, so there's different reasons why you wouldn't have the right birth date. And birth time, we make the assumption that if we do have a birth certificate and it has a birth time on it, we make the assumption that it's accurate, which is not always true, because the doctor's not necessarily watching the clock when you're being born, and a lot of times the hospitals, the doctors, they round up, um, all kinds of things like that. And they could be off by a few seconds, they could be off by a few minutes, they could be off by an hour, could be longer. In most cases, most hospitals, doctors, they don't go down to the second with their birth time, which can play a role in regards to your reading as well. So this analyzing is something that I do that's in the rectification. So for example, um, when I gave birth to my child, okay, I had a big digital clock so that me, as well as everybody else, could um, be seeing the time and exactly know what that is, down to the second. Uh, and someone like myself who, is into this and been doing this kind of thing for a living for a long time, I wanted to make sure the accuracy of the time. So verifying the clock, verifying it was functioning at the right time, right flow. Um, so, and then even when I still got the birth certificate, it was still off. And I'm like, okay, well, this wasn't what the time was. So had to have the hospital correct that at the time. So, but not everybody's going to do that, obviously. And so, why you're coming to me to get things figured out is that I take everything from having you do an information gathering before we even start our appointment. And I use everything from Western astrology, Vedic astrology, and human design charts and information, as well as lots of question and answer in order to get an accurate date of birth or an accurate birth time uh, for you. And your appointment's going to last anywhere from 15 minutes, or it could last several different appointments that we need to schedule. Okay, so in other words, it can be really short, or sometimes it can take some time. It all comes down to information, and information that you can gather and have ahead of time, because the more information you have, then the easier it can be for me to do the analysis and get to the most accurate birth information. So, uh, some of the legwork I'm going to ask you to do is, I'm going to ask you to get in touch with people that were around when you were born. I'm going to ask you to find documentations from your birth, the date of your birth, the date after your birth, any kind of documentation you can find from the hospital, from the midwife, from the doula, from wherever wherever your mother gave birth to you. I'm going to be asking you to inquire to family members, friends, and relatives of, what do they remember back then? Do they remember you were born at midday? Okay, well, what does that mean? Does that mean 12:30? Does that mean 11 a.m.? Does it mean 1 p.m.? Had you had lunch? Were you in the middle of lunch when mom had to go give birth? It's getting down to these nitty gritty types of questions. They say you're born between 4 and 6 in the morning. Okay, well, then you inquire of like, okay, well, was it dark out? Had the sun risen? Were you the first appointment for the doctor that day? Um, and people who have been born at midnight, well, was it midnight? Was it 12:01, 12:02, 12:05, 12:15, 12:30? Or was it 11:45 or 11:58? Right? So the minutes matter. The seconds matter too, but we at least need to get down to the accurate minute in the time of birth. It's an extra added bonus if we get down to the second. But these are things that, so you're going to have some legwork to do and some questions to ask in regards to your friends and family that were around during your birth. And I know sometimes that's uncomfortable for some of you to broach the subject. And so, any documentation you can gather is going to be of help, even if you think it's not any kind of, if you're adopted, what the adoption agency had on you, you never know. There could be a stamp here, a stamp there, and, everything from the time the agency received you to, how long, you may have been abandoned out, under a bridge, there's all kinds of different cases here. Once you're in an appointment with me, then we're going to go over that documentation you have. I don't have it. You don't send it to me. I just simply will ask you questions off of it. Or you may just email it to me. Email me, I'll send you the questions I have and have you email me. In our session, and also in email, I may be asking you a series of questions. But eventually I do need to see you, or a picture of you if you're doing it for yourself or someone else, because I'm going to be looking at your physical attributes, to your characteristics of personality, to asking you questions about, you know, were your parents married? When did they get married? What month and year? Are both your parents alive? Did one of them pass away? When did they pass away? The birth, excuse me, the time they died, the month and the year. Grandparents, same thing. If you have children, if you have had children, but they haven't survived, when did they pass away? What are the birth dates? Any traumatic events you may have had in your life? What you may have achieved in school, what kind of success or no success, what kind of scandals you may be involved in. I mean, you name it, you're going to get all kinds of questions in order to work down to get the accurate birth date or birth time, or both in some people's cases. So it's a lot of information exchange. And so you can expect that when you're in a session with me, you're going to get a lot of questions and answers, and hopefully you'll have all that information up front, that you won't, because if you don't have all the information and you got to research it, well, then that means we have to schedule another appointment, right? So I try to give you all the information as much as I can ahead of time of what kind of legwork you need to do and information I want you to try to get. And believe me, I understand that, you're not always going to be able to get all the information. So then it comes to do the best you can. Okay. And that we'll work it out together. And it can take time. All right. So there's no judgment here. This is really just an analysis in this piece. And so, anything you have to say, I keep it strictly confidential. I do not share it with anybody else. This is really just getting down to the information you need in order to have a successful reading, for now or in the future. Okay. And, but feel free to contact me with any further questions. And, I've been doing this for a very long time. I've been doing readings for a very long time, over 27 years. So, and again, not everybody does rectifications, and not everybody is as thorough. I must say, I can't say this. Not everybody is as thorough as I am, because I want to make sure that you get the most accurate information so that your reading is as accurate as possible, because I want you to be able to use these tools so that you can, enhance and access your soul, access your trajectory, access, the information you need to help unlock the areas to where you feel stuck, or successful, whatever it might be. Okay. So hopefully that helps with understanding rectification. And yeah, take care. Hope you have a wonderful day. Sat Nam. Blessings to you. Bye for now.